Right, okay, so let's move on to the roundup of the football that has just happened over the weekend, just gone. So there are games currently going on now. Well, there's a game currently going on now. That's City Wolves. That is 0-0. What we're going to look back at Saturday. And
No, that's 1-0, bro.
Is it?
Yep.
Who was it?
Literally just gone in.
Yep. Own goal. Look like.
Yeah.
We got that assist. Dream team.
That tells me that Uncle Jay's got BT Sport. No, that tells me Uncle Jay's got like real BT Sport, not like when you nick it off people's. People are nicking it off me, bro. He's got real BT Sport because I'm on the app, and that one was well over a minute delayed.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, the app is about a minute behind, which is a problem. Like if you've got like a score center thing with an app with like your team noted for like notifications, when you get that notification through on your phone before the goal get every time.
So every time I'm watching United and I think bing, I'm like, oh man,
and then you check it,
gonna concede.
You still check it and you're like, oh fuck's sake.
Yeah, I hope VAR kicks in and says no goal or something.
That is the greatest.
Uncle Jay's got that real BT, man. None of that nicking it off people business. But right, okay.
Yeah, that rich man BT.
Virgin Media comes free, my friend.
Yeah, it does. I've had that before. That is the package with Box Nation as well.
You get it free if you're a BT customer as well.
That's the one.
You did before.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's on the app, isn't it? You have to actually have the BT TV package to have it on the box. But yeah, so let's have a look at Saturday's games. So Saturday we kicked off with City versus West Ham. That finished 2-1 in the end. I think West Ham were a little bit unlucky. They showed a little bit of spirit, showed a little bit of fight. But John Stones stepped up in the 68th minute and got the winner. But I think moment of that game was the sensational left-footed cross from De Bruyne from deep to give Diaz his opportunity goal to begin with. It was something else. And West Ham looking pretty nice. And as we mentioned before, best team in London.
You know what though? Big shout out to John Stones and Diaz.
We move on to West Brom.
Both in my fantasy football team, so that was great for me.
Right, they're your boys.
They were both
your boys.
backs.
John Stones is from Kingston. If the videos or anything to go by.
Big shout out to Ruben Diaz. Ruben Diaz, your boy, bruv.
You know what I mean? My boy this week.
Big shout out, man. Anyway, we move on. Shouting out footballers that don't know who we are. We got West Brom, Brighton. That was, well, Brighton have had something ridiculous like in the past. I can't remember. It was also that past 5-10 games. Something they've had 20 shots on goal and one of them's gone in, and it was a penalty. Some nonsense like that. They missed two penalties and had a goal disallowed, and the goal that was disallowed was an absolute joke.
Lee Mason, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think there's an argument about this rule about taking free kicks early. Gary Lineker made a very good point. He talks about how they've always campaigned for players to be able to take the free kick early, because if you've got a free kick and you're sorted and you're set to go, you're actually punishing the attacking team because you're waiting for the defending team to get into place. And what's the one thing you learn always at all levels of football? Play to the whistle and get in your positions. So if a keeper, you're not in your right position, if the defenders aren't in the right position, why are the attacking team being punished for that? So what happened was Lewis Dunk asked if he could take the free kick early. The ref blew the whistle. He took the free kick, and it seems like the referee panicked because he realised Sam Johnson, the goalkeeper, was not in position and was still ordering the ball. Just before the ball landed in the net, he blew up and said it was no goal. Then he was surrounded by the Brighton fans, and he gave the goal. Then VAR told him to look at it because it wasn't a goal, and then he took the goal back. So quite a farcical game. But in all fairness, Brighton need to do better. They need to learn how to finish.
Referees this season have been poor though, if I'm honest. On the whole, refereeing this season just seems like it's been a bit dead.
Yeah, it's not been great, but I think it has name a season where it has been great. I think that's what we do. We're armchair fans. We point things out. Refereeing is a hard job, but they've got to do better. Let's have a look at Newcastle Wolves. Jamal Lascelles popped up to get a header, and the equaliser came from Ruben Neves for Wolves. Newcastle actually looked pretty good in this game, to be fair. They're looking a little bit better these days, but unfortunately they've been hit with some injuries. I think now Almiron is out.
God.
And I think they're looking a little bit. I do worry for them because
Callum Wilson's out.
Callum Wilson's out.
Weeks.
Yeah.
Sam
There's
Maximan went
Sam
off as
Maximan's
well,
out. He's out as well. I think he might be. He's either out or he possibly might have picked up a knock. He's not looking great either. So I do worry for them moving forward, just as they started to get a little bit of form. I think they're going to find it a little bit tricky, but no, they're looking a bit better. Then comes the lead Aston Villa game that I watched. Quite interestingly, Bielsa said at the end of his game, one of the reporters said to him, do you think that, I think it was along the lines of, did the best team win, or are you annoyed at your team? Basically trying to allude to the fact that they didn't play well enough to win. And he said, not at all. What in his little interpretation, he said, not at all. He said, my team were by far the better team. They just didn't finish. The stats were quite even. I think they had 3 shots on target. Villa had 4 shots on target. Villa got an early goal. It was a decent goal from El Ghazi.
Great
And
first touch.
I think if it had finished 1-1, no one would have questioned it. And if it would finish 1-0 to Leeds, no one would have questioned it. If it finished 1-0 to Aston Villa, no one's questioning it, really. I think the Leeds were a little bit unlucky. They were evenly matched. And in this league, it's fine margins. So that's what happened. So we move on to Sunday. I'm not even going to give Crystal Palace Fulham any traction. That was a horrible game. Goes back to my initial claim when I refuted Greg's claim last week of an entertaining 0-0. I don't think there are many entertaining 0-0s in this league. You know, I get his point. You can have an entertaining 0-0, but in this league, any sort of game between teams in the bottom half that's 0-0 doesn't ever tend to be entertaining. And then we move on to the Leicester game. So the Leicester game, that is, well, I'll let Chris talk to us about that game. That was, I think I was setting myself up on a Saturday afternoon. I was setting myself up, you know, to watch another Troops video, another, you know, Mr. Robbie. Getting on mic, telling us about, you know, what's wrong with the team. But before I knew it, they were 3-1 up. So, Chris, talk to us about it.
So, those of you that geek out a little bit may remember earlier in the season, Arsenal were doing all right,
and you
sort of like not long after the Community Shield. Not long after Community Shield, and we won the FA Cup. I was thinking, this could be a decent season. Like we're looking to improve the team, run of fixtures, Arteta's in, see how we go. We had a pretty dismal run of being able to finish, and we battered Leicester for a good 70 of the 90 minutes that we played them at the Emirates, and then they switched it up, made a little sub, and then Vardy nicked a winner. Now this game, it was kind of like it was almost in reverse, because we started fairly well. We was like feeling each other out, and then like the typical thing that Arsenal like to do is sort of play themselves into trouble. Like Arteta's alluded to, like the amount of individual errors that have costed us goals is very, very high. And we were just building play up the left-hand side. Willian and Xhaka were doing a little bit of nonsense. Like Tierney had gone for the overlap. They were trying to over elaborate in the middle of the park, and they got closed down. They nicked the ball off Xhaka down the right-hand channel. Tielemans just drove into the box. For some reason, I'm not sure whether it was tactical and they're drilling it in, but Mari and Louis both dropped off. Mari didn't go to the ball. They were obviously mindful of Vardy and Barnes, and then he just drilled it across Leno into the bottom left. Like Leno didn't have the opportunity to come out because Mari was still in front of him, so they would have just laid it across and it would have been a tap in for Vardy. So it's not the keeper's fault. It was just, combination of errors. And then that was like the 6th minute. And then from then on, Arsenal were by far the better team. And that's that's me being objective as well. Bearing in mind, Aubameyang, Saka and Partey probably are on paper, certainly our 3 best players at the moment. Partey makes a massive difference to us when he's come on. Some people will disagree, but he looks mustard. Just needs fitness. Saka's been.
There was a VAR decision in that game as well, weren't there?
Watches football. Yeah, and Aubameyang was obviously missing, and then from then we really hammered them. Now Leicester have got loads of players out. Like Maddison was out, Justin's out for the season, Fofana's out, Wes Morgan's their captain's out, Perez. Dennis
Johnny
Pratt.
Evans picked up a calf injury.
Yeah, Johnny Evans. Like they've got so many injuries. You've got to feel for them to an extent.
Yeah, but they don't moan about it like Liverpool.
Surely we should make up lots of excuses.
Like
No, hold on a minute. So they've got no Harvey Barnes, they've got no Maddison, they've got Johnny Evans who's now injured, Fofana's injured, Wes Morgan's injured. Dennis Pratt's injured. James Justin's out for this season. So surely that means that they've got the excuse to fall out.
Where's
of the
Uncle
top four,
Where's
no?
Uncle John at? Where's Uncle John at?
Yeah. We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. So Arsenal actually, like, literally from the minute the goal went in, I think, oh, here we go. It's gonna be another long afternoon of us playing well and losing. We went up the other end, created a chance, missed. We slowly built towards the end half, thinking, well, we never score from set pieces. Look, we just don't. And then there was a nice set piece routine. Look, Willie and Louise, like, Leicester were doing like zonal marking. Willie and Louise just peeled off the back post, spun into the middle. William picked him out. Bang, here we go. And then we had very quickly after that, I think there was a VAR decision where Pepe was driving in on goal and a penalty was given. And then they looked at it on VAR, and quite rightly, the foul came from outside the area. So they pulled it back.
Actually, it was a good decision.
Like, as much as it's irritating as an Arsenal fan to see, it was very good refereeing. It was the correct decision, and everyone kind of just got on with it. And then just before half time, Pepe had a shot inside the area, and what I can only describe, I can't remember the defender that did it, but the only way I can describe his body positioning was like that move in the Michael Jackson Thriller dance, where he kind of spins off to the side with both arms out in front of him. Like, honestly, his arms were that wide and high. I don't know what he was trying to do, but it was there was no real complaints. So you could see it all over his face when they were waiting for the VAR check. As soon as the sort of ref touched his ear and got as if like he was communicating with VAR, it was like, oh no. And then Lacazette dispatched it. And in the second half, we started the same when we had a nice little counter attack, and William got another assist. Pepe had a tap in, and then we just kind of saw the game out. It was quite professional, really. The only downside from an English point of view was Harvey Barnes got injured, which I don't know how serious that is, whether that because he was looking like a good possible outside chance for Euros.
We're not short of midfielders,
Smith Rowe, who is probably a very, very distant chance for a spot at the Euros, but has been brilliant for Arsenal. He's got a little knock, but Odegaard came on, did very, very well. Yeah, it was. Arsenal were very, very good, actually. Like, wins away from home against top six ties. We've struggled up in the last couple of seasons, but we look good. We look good value for it as well.
Yeah, I'm shocked to see it. I think the problem that Arsenal have is very similar to United. You show these flashes of going back to greatness, really. You show flashes of getting things right, and then it's interrupted by an awful performance somewhere else. Yeah. So hopefully for you guys, this is the turning point for you guys. But Leicester are bona fide top four contenders, and I worry for them now. They have, alongside Liverpool and Crystal Palace, the most first team injuries in the Premier League. And when you're fighting for top four, I do worry about them. But no, I think Arsenal. I've got no complaints there. You're well worth your win. Willian, for once, popping up and doing business for you. So I think happy days for you lot. There's not much to talk about.
It will come to pass whether we can go on a run now, because we were by far the better team against Benfica, and then they scored with a penalty, an unbelievable free kick and a set piece. Like, I think they had 3 shots on target over 2 legs. It was unbelievable. And then we managed to dig out a win. So
Snells, I'm not gonna lie, that was good.
What is good
coverage?
Go on.
That was good coverage by Snells. I enjoyed your little review of that game. Like, Chris has always kept me up to date with Arsenal games this season. As an Arsenal fan,
Thank you.
I am not watching Arsenal games. Like, they get my heart rate up. I can't do it. Like, I can't watch it. It just annoys me. So Chris will just keep me updated. But yeah, no. I just want to say shout out to Palace as well, because I didn't know Palace had that many.
So what? Bro, stop shouting people out, man. What are you shouting people out for, bro? Shout out to Crystal Palace. Okay, I'll email him for you. Shout out to Crystal Palace. My goodness. Right. Now it is your time to talk, Mr. Gravy, because you watched the Tottenham-Burnley game. Now, what I like to see about Burnley is they've got pretty much in that game, it was, of the 11 players that played, 9 of them were English. Did you know that?
No, that's a good start.
10 of them were English. 10 of them were English.
That's a good start.
I think in today's game, to field nearly a full 11 of British players is pretty special. They had Nick Pope, Matthew Lowton, Charlie Taylor, James Tarkowski, Ben Mee, Jack Cork, Josh Brownhill, Dwight McNeil, Ashley Westwood, Jay Rodriguez, and then they started with Vidra up front with him.
Shocker.
But I think It was a 4-0 win for Spurs. As much as the talk should have been about Gareth Bale, it wasn't. It was more about the argument between Roy Keane and Jamie Redknapp. So, Greg, I'll let you give us a little of a lowdown of that game, and then we can all potter in our what we believe is true. What side do we sit on? Do we agree with Roy Keane, or do we agree with Jamie Redknapp? But off you go, Greg.
Right, so the game was sort of over in the first half an hour, wasn't it? One thing about Burnley, though, they're just a middle of the road Premier League team, aren't they? They just always survive the Premier League and no struggles. Got a very good manager in Sean Dyche. It would be nice to see what he does if he had some money. But in terms of the game, Tottenham sort of had it their own way the first half an hour. It was actually, first goal was by Bale, his 49th Premier League goal, was it? And then second one was from Harry Kane, which was another good finish by him. And then Mora finished off on the 31st, which was sort of game, set and match. I have to say though, Gareth Bale's second goal was quality. The way he just bent that in, I was like, nah, that's a very good goal. But you expected Spurs to win that game, to be fair. And I never thought I'd have to watch a Spurs game. But it's 4 goals, easy game, 3 points for Spurs, and Jose gets another day of execution, as I think the talk is that they're going to get rid of him in the summer for Nagelsmann, which we'll have to wait and see if that's any truth in that. But yeah, on the whole,
apparently, Thingy have come out and said that Leipzig have come out and said to anybody looking for Nagelsmann, there's no negotiation at all. Like they've come out and said that because there's been big issues in Germany with managers agreeing to manage teams in the league, but still sticking with the team they're at the moment. So like, Gladbach's coach is going to be Dortmund's boss in the summer. Yeah, and they're saying ever since then, Gladbach have kind of fallen off a cliff. So I think to protect themselves, Leipzig said the same thing. Like, look, there's going to be no negotiation at all with Nagelsmann. We're keeping him. He's staying where he is. There's no negotiation. We're looking to try and be the second, if not the best team in Germany. We expect him to be here next season. So they're trying to protect themselves from any sort of unsettling nature. Because to be fair to them, they're in Champions League. They've got a game with Liverpool to come. They're second best team in Germany. I'd probably be saying the same thing, really. But
are they?
Yeah, I would say so. I wouldn't put Dortmund. I think they're second. Dortmund are not, by any stretch of the imagination, the second best team in Germany on form at the moment. They've
on
been
form.
no.
On paper.
Oh no, massively. Yeah, on paper they are. But they've been absolutely ropey. Their form has been ropey as anything. They go through these horrible fluctuations of playing really well and then playing dire football. But
moved you nicely onto my team then.
Yeah, but Leipzig themselves have played really well. But I think, John, did you manage to catch the argument between Jamie Redknapp and Roy Keane about this game?
No, I didn't. Unfortunately, right. I had toddled off to do something happily after watching the Sheffield United Liverpool game. It was a long time coming. I'm a long-suffering Liverpool supporter. But before I even start today, just wanted to say a big shout goes out to Ian St. John, 82 years old, passed away today. One of our legendary strikers, score of 118 goals over 424 games. That sounds pretty poor return for 424 games, but in the time when he was playing football,
very different game, wasn't it?
No, good shout.
Yeah, definitely. So got to pay respect to Ian St. John. Before I tell you about the Reds, or what did they call them? Lime greens, I think, on Sunday. I don't know what colour kit that was. That sums up Liverpool's season. That colour kit, it was horrible, to put it mildly. But yeah, 2-0, one deflected goal and one sort of normal goal, as I would call it, by Curtis Jones. I think, looking at the table, I moan about Liverpool again, long-suffering Liverpool supporter. I'm a realist as well. I think we've been cuddled for the last 3 years in terms of our performances and our work rate. I just think that Klopp has no plan B. I've always said that from day dot. that we've not had a plan B. And once people suss out the fact that we can shut down and play that diagonal ball between the fullbacks and the central defenders, will always be susceptible to getting ripped apart. And this season has shown that quite clearly, that if people just take the ball off of us and start playing football properly, we're not going to win.
You rely on intensity, don't you? Like intensity of the press, and when you've got a diminished squad for injuries, it puts more pressure on the players that are playing every 3 days to keep that up, and it's just not possible, is it? It's physically not possible. It doesn't matter how much you get paid a week.
Do you know what? I don't even think it's that. I just think it's a culmination of, you've got 11 players, and like I said to you at the beginning, I'm a realist. I love my team, but maybe 2 or 3 of those players will walk into any other team in the Premiership, put hand on heart, and they've been carrying the team for a while now, and take those couple of players out of that team, and you've got a very average mid-table Liverpool side. It's just their, like you said, their work rate is, over the last couple of years have been second to none, and that's why they've snuck away with doing so well. But take players out of their normal position, put them where they're not supposed to be playing, they get injured. Then you end up playing players that should be playing in that position, but they're not being protected. They're not being protected by the central midfielders that should have been there in the first instance, but you've played them at centre half. It becomes, if I'm being honest, I think a nuisance to fans looking at. Go on,
No, I think your team's exactly the same as Spurs. I think you have a great first 11. I just don't think you have a good squad. And I think that's why you struggle with injuries. I know you've got a lot of injuries, but I still don't think you have a good squad. I think you have a great first 11. I just don't think you have a good squad. And I think it's the same with Tottenham. They have a good first 11. They just don't have a good squad. And I think with Liverpool, I don't know.
You need at the top level, don't you? You need four top centre backs. Not necessarily all elite, but you need 4 centre backs. Two that are your starters, and then 3 and 4 that can come in when you rotate or when there are injuries. And then maybe you need 5 and 6 good quality youth players. And then this season has proven anything, is that Liverpool don't have that. Like, you obviously, Van Dijk played pretty much every game last season, didn't he? The fact that he's just a monster athlete, he was able to do it, is just a real testament to his professionalism. But then you've got Matip, and you've got Joe Gomez. And then after that, it got a bit thin, didn't it? And I think this season just kind of showed a bit of bad luck, and you were kind of found wanting in that area.
I just think that we've recruited, we've panic buyed in January. We brought in a couple of young players who, one of them hasn't even made the bench at all, which surprises me. That young fella from Preston, he's
Ben Davies too
at the moment. But you've
Ben Davies too.
Ben Davies, yeah.
But you've brought in Kabak. You play Reece Williams in Europe, but you don't play him in the Premiership. I'm a bit miffed by that, because I would have thought Europe is more important than the Premiership in terms of having a target for something that you can win. But he seems to be playing Reece Williams, the young baby Van Dijk, as we call him, in Europe, and he's not even getting a look in the Premiership. He made a couple of mistakes a couple of weeks back, and he's not had another game since. But I think there's a lot going on behind the scenes at Liverpool, which people are just not saying.
Yeah, agreed.
Agreed. In their on-field performances.
I already said Uncle Jay
going on, and I'm not saying it's because of people passing away. I know about Klopp's mum, I know about Alisson's dad and stuff like that, but there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than meets the eye, and it is affecting the way they're playing. And they're human. They can always come out and say, look, this is what's happening, and they choose not to. They choose not to use excuses. You keep hearing about their defensive issues, but we've lost 7 games this season, but we're only 7 points behind United. You're in second place, and that to me says any other team probably would have struggled a lot more than that. So still ahead of Arsenal though, but that's just me just adding in my little shade for the evening.
I think for me, I think my issue with Liverpool a little bit is. I think, like you said, they've been they've been mollycoddled for a while, and I think they've kind of looked and believed that source a little bit. And I don't think it's necessarily down to, part of it is down to the clientele, part of it is down to injuries, but I think a lot of it is down to your mental toughness, because not in a bad way, but in a way of you've never been here before.
Agreed.
And you don't know how to deal with it. And when you are in crisis, it's very hard to be the voice of reason to say, come on, you know who you are, you know how good you are, stop and just get on with what you're doing. I think to be in a position where your leader is, I've had so much respect for Klopp, to be in a position where your leader is in grieving and in mourning, and he's got to steer the ship. That should make you want to win even more. You know what I mean? That should make you want to be even more impressive. And then when you've got other people who have got long-term injuries, and Alisson unfortunately lost his dad, they're looking around for those people to show them mental toughness, and no one's grabbing it by the crook of the neck and saying, listen, we're in a tough period, we'll get through it. You are Liverpool Football Club, you are the best team in the league, just get on with it and get your head down. And I think that's the problem. I think it was Jane Ellis who was the British coach of the American team, the American football team, when they won the World Cup. She sat them down like 2 days later, and she said to them, on mountaintops, the air is thin, and it's thin because you're not meant to be there for very long. You're meant to get up there, you're meant to enjoy the view, and then you get back down to climbing the mountain again. And I think Liverpool has spent so much time climbing that mountain to finally get to its peak. You've got to the peak, and I think rather than going back down and putting in the same effort you put in to get there, you've been unfortunately stung with all the things going wrong in one time, and you've just mentally lost it a bit. I think you just need to get the season done with, so you can just get a little bit of you know what I mean? You need a mental break from the past 3 years that have just been, mental. It has been. It's been absolutely relentless, and you just need a break from it. And unfortunately, in this season, there are no breaks. Even more so, there are no breaks.
So
I totally agree with you.
The table doesn't lie, and it's funny you should say that, because the table doesn't lie. BT Sports have released the Big Six mini league. Now, this is just who's top of this league. So in first place, out of the top six, is Man City. They've played 8, won 5, drawn 2, lost 1, 17 points. Liverpool are second in that table with 7, won 4, drawn 2, lost 1, 14 points. Tottenham are third with 8 games, won 3, drawn 1, lost 4, on 10 points. Arsenal are 5th, played 7, won 2, drawn 1, lost 4, and sitting on 7 points. Chelsea are 5th, 7, played 7, won 1, drawn 3, lost 3, on 6 points. Bottom of that league is United, who have played 7, won 0, drawn 5, lost 2. And with all of that, United have only scored 1 goal against the so-called top 6. Al, what's your thoughts on that?
I think that's nonsense, because the table, we're second in the league. We are, we've been second for some time. I think the fact that we can't beat anyone in the top 6.
It can't be nonsense, because it's facts.
It's something we need to address. But it is, because data's cold. You take out context, because the context behind that, so surely if your form league is correct, that would mean United wouldn't be second then, surely?
I'm just saying that I found that very interesting.
Because if you can beat the top teams, you can beat. If you can beat the top teams, then you can beat the other teams. That's the argument, isn't there? Really.
The only thing I would say that is relevant for that, and speaking from experience, there was a time when Arsenal were semi-decent in the 2010s, and we were always getting beaten by top 4 teams, but always still finishing top 4. Is that ability to take the next step, and I think that is kind of shown in like how many semi-finals has Ollie lost now? 3.
Yeah,
and it's
but
perhaps that bigger game mentality. Like,
no, that's the
is there
point,
an
though,
issue
isn't
there?
it? That is the point. That is the point. If you look at where we are failing, we are not able to beat big teams because of lack of mental toughness. I go back to the mental toughness. You know, people say we've been scarred by the Spurs defeat. I don't think it's that at all. I just think we're mentally weak. We are mentally weak.
I disagree with you, Al, to be fair.
And I just think I think it's a mental weakness by us. I don't think they believe in Ollie enough, like they would believe in Klopp, or in the way they would believe in Mourinho, or the way they would believe in another manager.
You should have gone and got Ancelotti. You should have got Ancelotti. He would have done absolute bits. Like, he would have had the respect of Pogba, Rashford.
I wanted Allegri personally. I wanted Allegri at the time because he was there. He was available. He was the one that I thought would have just shook it up a little bit. I think similar to a lot of clubs, we need a big change. We don't need. It's not the manager. We need a change from the top down. We need to change the way the team's been run and all of that. And you know, the jury's still out on Ollie. Let's see how he gets on.
He's still in the job, and he's lasted longer than others.
Yeah, the jury's out. I think
It's lasted longer than David Moyes.
Yeah, no. But funny enough, you say David Moyes at this point,
tearing up at West Ham.
Yeah, you know, a nice little bit of data for you before the Sheffield Wednesday, the Sheffield United.
Do you know what?
game,
Funny you should say about Moyes. You know, it's funny you say about
Why do you
Moyes
say
because
that?
I heard West Ham, a United fan, rang up on TalkSport and said he would take Moyes back over Ollie at the moment.
Well, it's ridiculous.
Don't know what you think about that, Al.
No, that's rubbish.
No, that's rubbish.
I agree, Al.
Before Liverpool played Sheffield United, if you compared the title defence to Moyes' title defence, Moyes' team had one more point than Liverpool at this point. So again, if you look at it in that context, the data suggests that the David Moyes team that had Tom Cleverley and Marianne Fellaini and all them man there are better than the current Liverpool cropper team because after the same amount of games,
it's only numbers, Al. Just keep rolling with them numbers.
Did they?
Fine. It's all right.
There you go.
Numbers,
That's my point. But I think just to wrap it all up before we look at the fixtures for the weekend, I think the whole pod was named after Roy Keane and James Redknapp. So to give you a little bit of context, Roy Keane tore apart Tottenham and basically made quite wild-ranging statements saying that they're an average team, they didn't deserve to automatically be in the top four, and nobody in the top four, top six teams would want any of their players. He did backtrack and then say, yes, Kane and Son, but that was it. And this seems to really anger Jamie Redknapp. And he was reporting from the top
He did go back on Reguilon as well.
Absolutely lost his cool and ended up arguing with Roy Keane. And the centre of his argument came that 2 points, that actually Tottenham were a good side because they're full of internationals, which Roy Keane rubbished, and I agree with him on that. And then he said that Sergio Reguilon was one of the best left backs in the Premiership, which I thought was for me.
He's done really well, but no,
absolute nonsense, right?
Can we get VAR on that?
For me, yeah. So for me, for my little 2 cents,
he's not even the best. He's not even the best.
That's it. Just leave it like that, Chris.
Yeah.
Just leave it like that. He's not even the best.
My point. For me, my point in all of this, and the reason why I sided with Roy Keane, not because he's the ex-United captain, but he's completely right. What he's saying is, you lot make too much noise about Tottenham and how they should be doing this and they should be doing that. Tottenham are not a very good side. They were a good side that got to the Champions League final, and beyond that team,
that team overachieved.
Exactly, they're not that good of a side, and he's right. So let's go through that team. So we're talking about, for argument's sake, let's say City, Liverpool, United, Leicester, Chelsea. Yeah, let's call those teams out, right? Let's go through that team one by one. Okay, so the team that played Burnley was, and I'll get that up. The team that played Burnley was Lloris. Lloris doesn't displace De Gea, doesn't displace Mendy, doesn't displace Alisson, doesn't displace Edison. Yeah, Reguilon is not the best left back out of any of those teams. Yeah, Reguilon's not better than Chilwell. Reguilon's not better than Shaw at the moment. Reguilon is not better than Robertson, and he's surely not better than any of the fullbacks that play for City. Yeah, Alderweireld and Sanchez, I think, is a load of trash. I think Aure is a load of trash. I think Alderweireld is equally as trash as Maguire or Lindelof. I wouldn't say he's better. I say
Certainly
he's
not the player he was
equal
three
levels
ago.
of trashness, which is why he wouldn't get in the Man United team, because we would be exchanging trash for trash, right? So then you got Højbjerg. No, not for me. I think he's a very, 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 very B-tech defensive mid. He wouldn't get in ahead of Pogba for me, or McTominay, or instead of who you got there, Rodri, instead
Thiago.
of
Definitely not Rodri.
DD.
Talk
Oh, so then you got Son. Son walks in there. Bale, never fit. Lucas Moura, again, so then Fernandes instead of
stop now, man.
Exactly.
Stop now, man. It's
So for me, I think he's nailed it right on the head. Like they are an average team they're an average team at best. I don't know what you guys think, but for me, I think Keane nailed it on the head.
I agree. I agree with you, Al. I think Roy Keane was great. I don't know why Jamie Redknapp that day was up in his feelings. He was getting really upset about it. Yeah, I didn't know where it was. Even when the presenter was like, "All right, leave it, Jamie. Like we're gonna move on." Jamie was still going off on one, so I don't know what had happened between him and Keane.
The ex-Spurs players are all very loyal. You just watch how Jermaine Genius waxes lyrical about a team that haven't won a trophy in 15 years to realise that they back their own. So fair play.
But it was just weird because it's just weird how he done it. It was just really, really weird. Like, it was weird.
So, Chris,
and I think Keane had a good point.
Just before you start, Al, just a quick update. Halftime, it's 1-0 to City. And I've just seen on BT Sports, they showed Wolves' heat map of the pitch for the first half. And it looks like a horseshoe with the gap being City's penalty area.
Wow.
That's basically what it looked like. So I thought I'd share that with you.
where?
They had a second goal disallowed for offside, but you're talking about his fingernails were offside when they
so that's starting to get on my nerves, damn them offside things. It's get on my nerves.
Yeah. Agreed.
On my nerves.
I mean, I think the argument with Roy Keane is he was quite scathing on Doherty, and apparently him and Doherty have got.
Doherty is dead though, bruv. He's dead. That was a good run.
For argument's sake, just to take the bias out of it, I think it's completely right. Yeah, I'm going to go through this team, that entire team. Yeah, and you tell me for Arsenal or for Liverpool or even Chelsea for this matter or City, you tell me who that player displaces. Right. So let's go through it. We're going through Tottenham's the whole team that played against Burnley. No, there's players on the bench.
Al's not letting it go.
There's players on the bench, Uncle Jay, right? So listen, right? Okay. Does Hugo Lloris get in any of your teams?
No. Not on a month for Sundays.
No.
John Gravy?
Nope.
No. Does Reguilon get in any of your teams?
He can be on the bench for when Tierney's tired.
Exactly. Tierney, Chilwell. Like, it's a joke. What made me laugh was he was saying, he's one of the best left backs in, bruv.
He's good. He's good. He's a Premiership left back. He's meant to be good.
The left backs at United are both better than him.
Yeah, agreed.
And one's a backup for the other.
He's meant to be good, isn't he? He's come from Real Madrid. He's meant to be good. He's playing in the Premiership. But
there's only two players in that Spurs team. There's only two players in it. It's Son and Kane. That's all you're going to take.
Alderweireld, does Alderweireld get any of your teams?
Alderweireld.
He went big on Alderweireld.
No, not the moment.
Yeah, Al, you didn't like that one, did you? When he said about Alderweireld and Man United, you didn't.
My point is, your point is, everybody knows. Excuse me, that our centre back pairing is completely trash, right? So to try and suggest that, or you get in your team at the moment, to exchange trash for trash?
Yeah,
that's what we'd be doing.
Going from a D to a C minus.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's much of a muchness. You can't big up your chest with that, bruv. Because what other teams are you going to get into? Do you know what I mean? Davison Sanchez, does he get into your team?
No, he's trash.
Does he get into Chelsea's team or City's team? Does Serge Aurier get into any of your teams?
Hey, Serge Aurier.
No, I mean, I don't rate.
Get over
Hecky,
here.
But I don't rate Hecky, but I still think he's better, and Cedric's definitely better.
Højbjerg, does he get into any of your teams?
No.
Chelsea, City, no. Does Gareth Bale get into your team?
Nah.
Do you know, he's a bit of a red herring, At the moment,
I'm going to say no, because I reckon he's an injury away from being done.
Do you know what?
He's just not played football for 2 years. That's why.
Yeah, prime Gareth Bale does. Current Gareth Bale doesn't.
He's got that fame factor, and he can sell some shirts. So I'm sure he can get into the squad, but not like the Carling Cup squad team.
But who did he displace in your team?
In the Carling Cup squad
who
team.
Who comes out of your team for him?
Firmino.
What? Shaqiri.
There you go. If you're pulling out old Zagdan,
yeah, that's a good shout.
Word,
Uncle Jay, no one give you props for that.
Old Zagdan,
I'll give you props for that.
Go ahead.
The thing about Gareth Bale is he comes with massive wages, isn't it? So no one's gonna let him in their team with them wages. Like with
what I mean is, who did he of your first 11? Of your first 11, who did he displace?
He's not getting in there to Saka for me. That sounds like a mental statement, doesn't it? Because like he's Gareth Bale and he's phenomenal, but on form, like
it's not a mental statement because they talked about this before on one of their Saturday social Sky Sports programs. They were really annoyed because I think L'Equipe had released this list of the top 50 youngsters in the world, and they were really annoyed that Greenwood got ahead of Saka.
Yes, now that's mental.
Now, for me, if we're talking about being totally biased, I'm happy with that personally. Yeah, personally, I'm happy with that. But I can totally. Oh yeah, 100%. Listen, if we're talking about actual ability and the roles that they play, I think Greenwood's probably a better player, but Saka is gonna be clearly a phenomenal player. I think he's not quite there yet, but he's shown the signs of being an absolute phenomenal player.
It's difficult to put into context, isn't it?
I think Greenwood is just a little bit ahead of him in education. But I think in terms of what Saka is going to be, I think it's going to be phenomenal.
They're two different types of
player. So it's hard to
agreed with Uncle Jay, totally.
Saka's end result now is 100 times better than Greenwood. Greenwood is a totally different player to Saka. Saka has, I don't know, I don't, I'm not an Arsenal or a Man United supporter.
He's 19 and he can play left back, right back, wing back, centre mid, left wing, right.
But he's playing more games than Greenwood as well. He's getting more opportunity in the first team.
I just think his end product is miles better than Greenwood at this moment. Greenwood looks like he's going to be an absolutely phenomenal player.
His end product is assist at the moment.
Greenwood could be number 9 for England one day, couldn't he?
Greenwood's end product's got to be goals, and that's why it's a little bit harder. And that's why I'm saying for me to be playing in a front three for Manchester United at 20 years old, I think shows that he's a little bit ahead in his education in football. So I'm just saying, as a current snapshot, I can't, and I'm being biased here, I can't argue with it, but I can completely, 100%, completely understand why anybody else would say Saka's ahead of him, and I wouldn't argue it either way either. I'm just being biased here because I watch a lot of Greenwood, but I'm just being biased.
So I tell you the scary thing I think about Saka is I think in a couple years' time, if our Arsenal team doesn't step up, he outgrows Arsenal and he leaves. I know Liverpool was sniffing in the summer.
I think he's going to be that good in 3 years' time that there'll only be 2 or 3 clubs that could take him because he's an Arsenal fan.
He'll go City, wouldn't he?
He could go. He may go City if Pep's still there, but realistically, you're looking at the other big 3, aren't you? You're looking at we've talked about the troubles they've got, but Barcelona will be back. Real Madrid, Bayern Munich. I think you're looking at that level.
I don't want to get too ahead of myself because we done the same thing with Jack Wilshere. And I don't know where he is right now.
I don't want to get too ahead of myself.
But did you hear what Jack Wilshere said about that recently?
No.
He said, I was 19 years old, playing first team for Arsenal, playing against teams like Barcelona. Nobody was saying to me, you need to have a rest. Nobody was around him saying, basically he was saying nobody manages minutes. And I can kind of see, we kind of do that as English people, don't we? We kind of see those players come in, they do really well, we want them to play as much as possible. And no one was saying, slow it down, in a way that Phil Foden's been entered in.
Particularly Foden's been
I was just about to say that. Foden's been handled so well.
So back on the point, and the point was that Gareth Bale doesn't displace Saka. Gareth Bale doesn't displace Rashford for me. or even Greenwood, because I know that with Greenwood, at least he's 2-footed, like Bale is, and at least a guy can do a 1-2 step over and get an assist.
And he'll be there in 2 seasons as well.
Whereas Bale, for me, is hit and miss. You know, he's taken him since the transfer window when he came in September, to now hit some form.
Yeah, it's not when you're on $500,000 a week. That's
but he's not playing. He's not played football for 2 years. He's not played any football.
Why has he not played? Why is he not played?
There's a reason for that.
Why is he not played? This is the thing that they're saying. Everybody's looking at Zidane and saying, "What a bad coach! Look at the way you treat Bale." Yeah, he goes to Spurs, and what are people saying about Mourinho? Oh, what a bad coach! Look at the way he's treated Bale.
Lucas Moura is a good player, but if you can't get ahead of Lucas Moura, you're world class.
So there was that issue that Bale had where he'd Instagrammed that he had a good training session and he was good to go. So when the next game came up, this is recently, and Mourinho, they asked Mourinho, like, hold on a minute, what's going on with Bale? And you said he's injured and he's not playing in the next game. And he said he is injured. They said, well, that's not what his Instagram says. He said, well, he's lying. He said that's not the truth. The truth he told our medical staff he's feeling a little bit of a knock. The medical staff gave him a scan. They found no damage whatsoever, but he still said he didn't feel fit enough to play. So we haven't played him. So if he's sent some Instagram message saying he's fit and raring to go, it's a smokescreen. And then they had a go at Mourinho for throwing him under the bus. So you're saying to me that it's both Mourinho and both Zidane are bad coaches, and it's actually Bale is the guy that's, it's their reason for he's not played for 2 years. It's his attitude.
They've got 5 Champions Leagues.
It's his attitude. He can't stay fit. He hasn't got the hunger anymore. He doesn't get in ahead of any of our players. The only player I look on this list now, so all you got left from that, because we know about Son. I'm not going to talk about Son. We're not going to talk about Kane. The only 2 players left are Moura and Ndombele. And Ndombele I'd take. But he's
been very good this season.
He wouldn't get ahead of Fernandes for me.
I wouldn't take him ahead of
Fernandes. You mean?
Yeah, Fernandes.
That's what I said. Fernandes.
Listen. Stop being a hater, man.
I wouldn't take him above Partey.
Do you know what I mean?
I wouldn't take him above Partey, and I love Smith Rowe, man. I think he's class.
Hold on a minute, Alistair. We have to adjust the
I'm not that impressed with Partey. I'm not going to lie.
So the elephant of the fact that Mo Salah has no balance.
No. We have to address the elephant in the room.
Stay on his feet.
The elephant in the room is that whoever has spoken to Bruno Fernandes needs to tell him that football is a physical game, and every time he gets touched, he doesn't need to.
Oh, please. Is this coming from a Liverpool fan? Are you being serious?
I'm just asking.
Are you being serious?
Look, everybody can see it. Yeah. And, I don't mind like the next person. If you get tackled and you go down, fair enough. You call for a free kick. But you don't need to be screaming, rolling around the floor, and then 2 seconds later you're running, sprinting after the ball. That's disgusting.
I would take that if it wasn't from a Liverpool fan.
No, it doesn't need to be from any other fan.
If Gravy or Chris said that, I would take that on. I'll take that on the chin. But your front three,
your podcast last
your
week.
Front three have taken a lifelong course in gaining penalties and free kicks. Man,
take the batteries out the smoke alarm.
they were legitimate penalties. But I listened to your pod last week just out of interest.
Please.
Yeah. And I heard you was talking about, Everton like celebrating when they won. But can I just point you to, did anyone see at the final whistle when Ancelotti went to spud the Manchester referee? Yeah. And I have to put it like that because the Manchester referee smiled the biggest grin and winked at him. And I've got it on video.
Liverpool fans with these conspiracy theories.
No.
Conspiracy theory.
We need to do a whole pod on Liverpool fans and conspiracy theories.
No. But I just wanted to touch on that one bit, which was he didn't have to smile so broadly and wink. Yeah, he could have just said, "Yeah, good game." Yeah, like I'm not saying that Everton didn't deserve to win. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, I thought Everton played the game of their season. Yeah, and they won fair and square.
Uncle
I
J,
had
man.
no drama with that. it's just those little things, the spud and the wink. Didn't need to do that. Do you know what I mean?
Uncle Jay,
That's all I'm
I ain't
saying.
gonna lie. That was some S Club 7 reach for the stars conspiracy.
No, I'm not saying it was. Hold on, you never heard me say it was a conspiracy theory or
No, but
anything like that. I'm just saying
at the moment
it
with
was
Liverpool
just.
fans.
It
They
was
come
the,
out with a lot of conspiracy theories.
no,
at the moment.
no, Alistair, please don't get it wrong.
Start
When you
calling
guys
Uncle
beat
Jay
us this
Bradley.
season, I told you I'm a realist. When we play poorly, I see it. I'm like, boy, I'm not watching Liverpool again, and then I still watch the next game.
Yeah, I think this pod is looking at well over 2 hours, but it's been well worth it. I think we've enjoyed it. Apparently, Gravy, you didn't give us the update of the people who listen, the shout outs to because we're multinational.
Oh, yes. Big shout out to everyone who locked in. So I compile a list every week of our top 10 listed countries. And this week, in first place is still the USA. Second is the UK. Third is Australia. Fourth is New Zealand. 5 is Brazil. 6 is Ireland. 7 is Japan. 8 is Germany. 9 is Taiwan. And 10 is Canada. So big shout out to the US listeners who are big. 45% of our listeners are from the USA. So that's just Spotify. But you can catch us on Spotify, YouTube, Overcast, and Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts as well. So don't forget to check us out. Like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff.
Well, I think that's a good way to end it. I'm going to debate whether to make this 2 podcasts rather than make it one long podcast. I have to think about that in
make it
editing.
a part 1 and part 2.
Yeah, I might do, mainly because I'm going to, as I was saying to Greg, I'm going to try and use some different software to try and make it sound a little bit better. So that steep learning curve might mean it might be easier to do a part 1 and a part 2. That makes a bit of sense. So at least I can get one part out as soon as possible. But John, it's been good having you on, man. I know that the protocol at the moment is to get different fans on, but I'm quite happy for you to return regularly, man. I think you gave a good. What I like, if I'm honest, I like the fact that you don't agree with everybody all the time.
No, cool.
I think it's quite easy to accept what people say, but I think it's good to hear. United
goal update. Yeah, 3-1. I forgot to mention you was talking.
Yeah,
when I interrupted.
4 hours behind. Yeah,
who's got that?
I think got the third.
Mahrez got that one.
Mahrez.
I think it's good to have other people with different opinions who don't just conform to what everyone's saying. So, John, I think, for me personally, I'm going to throw it out there. I'm happy to have you back, regardless of if we can't get through other fans, and I'm happy to hear more Liverpool stuff. I ain't gonna lie,
it's not all about Liverpool.
My love for Liverpool is people know me know it's not very high, but I think what you had to say. If you take out the conspiracy theories, the rest of it,
it's a nice dynamic.
The S Club 7 conspiracy.
My disdain for Man United is almost as high, but my view is football's football. We can look at stuff objectively. It doesn't have to be full of animosity.
Let's just be glad that it's on.
Yeah, thank
God.
Man. Amen.
Can you imagine there was a time when it just wasn't on? How horrible that time was.
At least there's something going on.
Can I just say, can we not give Uncle John too much of a big head? He already walks around with his head in the clouds anyway, naturally. I don't need him to be up there spiritually as well. Do you know what I mean? He was aight on the podcast today. You know what I mean? He was aight.
I think definitely we'll be looking to have him as a repeat guest, man. So thank you for that, Uncle Joe.
Thanks for having me, man. It was fun.
No, it was good. And Chris, good to have you back. I'm glad to hear that you didn't drown. So that's really good to hear.
Yeah, managed to save the day. That's what I do.
So it looks like the next pod with all those games going on and all of the UFC, it might end up being another part 1, part 2 again. So, but Greg, once again, apologise for your audio, and hopefully the listeners can hear Gravy's audio. And I'll put a disclaimer out there. Greg's audio is usually the best of all of ours because he has the best mic. But today, unfortunately, Talk were restricting his bandwidth. So, but apart from that, I think Gravy also
that pay-as-you-go dongle. Needs to top it up.
gave us some good insight. So thank
Hey,
you.
times are hard, man.
You were very data driven today. I noticed.
Done his research.
You had a lot of data to
He
bring.
doesn't like
Oh,
doing
yeah.
that either.
Do you know
why?
That, more so than
Do you know
usual.
why? Because a few people sent for me in my DMs last week about a few that had no stats in it. So this week I was like, you know what? You have to be prepared to be successful in it. So if this is gonna work,
Draw for the
you've got to come with
4-4.
1-2 stats. So yeah, kick off the door. Like, all right, let me do some stats then. So yeah, that's why I done it.
Is it 4?
I don't know. It's VAR. It's going to VAR.
Oh man. There's me
They
saying
angered
we
him.
might
I
get.
told you,
oh.
they angered him.
Can I change my prediction for the United game?
Hey, I did say, man. I
Angered him
don't
to
see
start.
City losing for the rest of the season.
Oh, here we
bro.
go.
I don't see
There
them losing
goes
for
the
rest of season.
lines. Was his toenail offside?
Who was it?
Yeah,
Gabriel.
yeah. His collar was offside.
Oh, sorry.
He's
before we go,
onside. He's onside.
Before I say that,
That's a goal.
Yep.
that's what
Uncle Jay gets
that's
it
what I was
early.
saying before I was interrupted. So there's two common mispronunciations we do
Untied
in
goal.
Brazilian Portuguese, and that is that the first one is the R. So how do you pronounce R in Portuguese Brazilian?
Um,
What the hell is this? Some Rosetta Stone
Yeah.
podcast? I don't know.
You pronounce it with the H sound.
okay.
So it's Rafael, not Raphael. Ronaldinho.
Goal,
So if
bro.
you listen to a lot of, I hope I've not murdered that. A lot of Brazilians would never say Ronaldo or Ronaldinho or who's the other one?
Rivaldo.
The one that went City. What's his name? Rubinho. Yeah, it's with a h sound. Rafael.
So it's Rabinho.
Yes. It's a very guttural sound. And the
Hey,
the other
Al,
one
before I forget
is
as
the
well.
J.
Before I
Yeah,
forget,
go on.
next week I want to do top 5 goalkeepers of all time for you. Your personal
Top 5.
goalkeepers.
Nice.
Top
We're
five
going to
what?
start at
Your
the back. Top 5 goalkeepers. So listeners, get them into us. Tell us your top 5 goalkeepers. Obviously, from your perspective. Obviously, I won't put goalkeepers that I didn't see play. So like Peter Shilton will not be in my top 5 goalkeepers. I never saw him play. So it's what you have seen play, your experience of football, your top 5 goalkeepers. We're going to start at the back. And that by the end of the season, we'll have our complete top 5 teams. So like your complete team. But we're going to start at the goalkeepers first. Top 5 goalkeepers.
Cool. That rounds us up. So thank you very much, Uncle Jay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Snells.
Cheers.
Mr. DJ Goldenchild, thank you.
Mr. Otto himself. Thanks, Al.
And we will see you in the next one.
Biggest uh-oh is that bandwidth.